When we saw this film, everybody at CT loved it because of the craftsmanship, because of the focus on the story, because of the time and energy it went into telling a story in a unique way, in a journalistic way, if you will. And so we really appreciate what Alfie and Cristina have done. So come on up here, Alfie and Cristina, and we can give you the award.
Thank you so much.
Congratulations.
What a huge honor.
Thank you so much. We also brought a special guest.
Oh, wow, we got a special guest.
Thank you.
Penny.
This is Penny.
Penny,
She's
awesome.
7 months old, and we're hoping she'll behave herself.
Oh, that's fine. Okay, here's the award.
Oh, my goodness.
Wow.
The originals, Cristina and Alfie, and we are so thankful for your creative storytelling abilities. We hope you continue to do it for a lifetime.
Oh, my gosh.
Here you go.
Thank you so
Oh,
much.
what a
It's
real honor.
beautiful.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you so much.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Hey guys, hey Penelope, how's it going?
Hi there.
I'm Jon Cipiti. I'm the creative director of Windrider, and in addition to what we do here at Sundance, me and this crew that you see around you has the privilege to tell the stories. Over the past couple of years, we've made close to 200 documentary stories, whether short form, micro doc, episodic, feature length, and my favorite thing about documentary is you get to sit with people you never would have been able to otherwise. You get to hear stories that most people don't get to hear. And so when I got the opportunity to talk to you guys, I kind of fought for that. I was like, oh, I want to do this one. I want to do this Q&A. And I want to start with how you guys started the film.
Yeah.
You're telling the story of this memory, of this time, something that was important. But you choose to start in live action. And then you transport us to the world of the originals. Can you talk about the choice to do that?
Absolutely. Well, first off, thank you so much for having us here. It's an honor to see our film screened, and a privilege to get this award. We lived with Matty Square Ruggiero for 5 years, and we fell in love with him and his friends and the ways that they told stories and their accents, and you know, we just so badly wanted to be able to tell their story, but there wasn't great footage of the time. And so I'm a professional documentary filmmaker. I've made a number of feature films that have been here at Sundance, but we had never made an animated film. And Alfie is a professional architect and was teaching himself how to animate at the time, and then the pandemic hit, and we had recorded a couple hours of these guys telling us stories. We didn't know why we wanted it, but we thought, let's get this recording and we'll figure out what it is. Then the pandemic hit. And so with our strengths and weaknesses combined, I think we decided, what if we, you know, Alfie's an incredible model builder. What if we built sets? We missed this neighborhood so much. We were in LA. We lived in Brooklyn with these guys, and we kind of wanted to recreate what it was like, what that neighborhood was like before Penny existed, and use their voices, their actual voices, to tell that story. So Alfie hand drew every single frame of the originals, and these lovely Canadians helped us make it all move. It was our weaknesses combined, we say, because I'm a documentary filmmaker, but never knew how to animate. Alfie had these skills, so we decided that we would kind of do a mishmash and invent our own style. And we were lucky enough, we got a little money, and we were able to basically make it over the pandemic. So we made a lot of sourdough bread, and we made this.
Yeah. I think the other thing is, you know, the way that Matty and all of his friends tell stories, the way that all of us tell stories, if we're good at it, is you sort of exaggerate or flat out lie. And there's no way for reality to sort of live up to the way that the originals tell these stories. And so animation and models were really the only way to sort of stretch proportions in the way that they stretch the truth. And so I think it really, while it was initially like a hurdle we had to get over, that there was no archival, I think it eventually became a strength, right, Penny? Yeah. And then the live action in the beginning, we had a rough cut of this that we showed to several friends of ours, and I think it was sort of lost on them that what they were looking at were models, because they were so detailed that they were sort of confused about what they were looking at. So the recommendation was, you know, you need to let people understand that what they're looking at is miniatures. And so that live action footage. Also, I'm wearing exactly the same thing, which is just ridiculous. Right now, I'm wearing what I'm wearing in the beginning of the film.
In the beginning, yeah.
It's just so silly. But that was a late addition, which I think helped sort of immerse viewers in the sort of model world that we built for them.
Yeah, well, I love it because you're actually setting the stage for everybody and welcoming them in. And I thought it was also interesting that you're telling the story of these 4 guys standing on the block, but in doing so, you're also living that active memory of a place that was close to you. And I think that watching the film a few times, it just made me think of this idea of neighbor.
Yeah.
It took a lot of listening for you to sit there and learn a story from your landlord,
Yeah.
which I think is interesting. Can you talk about that act of listening in making this piece? Why is that important, and how did that play a role into this place that meant a lot to you?
Yeah, I mean, I think fundamentally documentaries are empathy machines. You are immersed in somebody else's world, and you hopefully understand them a little bit better. you understand them a little bit better after spending a lot of time with them. And so we came to love Matty and his friends so much, but saw how they were treated by so many of the other neighbors, newcomers to the neighborhood. And we kind of hoped that we could make something that would help bridge that gap a little bit. And I think the idea that Matty expresses, which is like, it is so easy to say hi and to be kind, and that I think especially nowadays, there's so much division that some of the very first lessons you learn in life, that they've fallen to the wayside in some of these neighborhoods. And so now we live in Highland Park, and Alfie says hi to absolutely everybody. He's like running for mayor of nothing in particular, is what I always say. But we try to lead our lives with this kind of kindness that they showed us.
Saying the exact same thing in many ways, but I do think, Cristina touched on it, which is increasingly there is a sort of us versus them mentality, which is extremely unproductive and antagonistic. And I think just the simple act of saying hello really opens up whole new worlds and possibilities. And if it weren't for us having just the huge, luxury and luck of being able to live with Matty, I'm not sure that we would have learned that lesson as soon as we did. But it's something that we really, hold on tight to since making this and since meeting Matty.
Well, and you do it so well. And I think what's interesting in starting in live action and then going into animation and then changing the style of animation, you've transported everybody into that. Because when it started, the music's amazing, by the way, but I'm having so much fun. And then it shifts. And it's not just reminiscing on the good old days. He's also holding the difficulty with the good. Can you talk about that and honoring the memory of others, why it's important to also not just sugarcoat it, but to be able to look at the difficulty too?
Yeah, exactly. When we first arrived in the neighborhood, it was so romantic to us, the idea of what the neighborhood used to be like. And I think at first we were so charmed by these neighborhood games and these neighborhood stories. Actually, some of the guys in the neighborhood claimed that they had invented tag in one conversation, and we were we thought that was so funny and charming and fun. But the more we read, the more we talked to them, we learned that it was also very rough as well, and the joy coexisted with a lot of tragedy. There were murders on their corners that they would have to see us walk by as kids, and so it wasn't just beautiful. And I think we wanted to hold both of those truths at the same time. But we did want it to be a happy short about nostalgia, and I think the music is incredible. Our friends did it. It's the one part that we will never find fault with, because they did it for almost no money, and they're
huge shout out to Bennett Barbacow and Rob Amyarv.
They're also the producers of Smartlist, which
so
is a great podcast.
If you listen to the Smartlist podcast, they did our music for us.
Yeah.
Well, I just have one more, and then I want to open it up to the audience. But how has wait, what was that, Penelope?
Yeah, she's got some things.
She said she's very happy to be here.
But in hearing these stories and hearing this idea of the originals, how has it made you enter into Highland Park differently and maybe being your own originals? Or how has it made you live differently in the space you're in now?
Yeah, I think neighborhoods are constantly changing, and even the phrase originals is they are not the originals. There were people there before them who were the originals, and so neighborhoods are constantly changing. Our country is constantly changing, but I think always acknowledging who came before us, knowing that we're always going to be guests wherever we are, and treating the existing neighborhoods with and people who live there with respect. Is our goal. Saying hello is the easiest thing, the first step.
Yeah, and I think also an understanding that communities are not sort of static monoliths. They are things that are ever evolving, like you were saying, and they are things that you can be included in, but also that you have a responsibility to participate in as well. And that's something that we've definitely been cognizant of moving to our new neighborhood. And getting to know everybody who lives there. I say hi all the time, like Cristina said, too much.
So much. I'm from the Midwest. I'm a Midwesterner, and so when we met, Alfie's from Boston, I would say hello to everyone. I was like, just very Midwestern about it.
Weirdest thing.
And now it's kind of Alfie's running for mayor of nothing.
I love that. Okay, I want to open it up. Who has a question?
Hey, so thank you so much. I have a really good friend named Dominic Barisi who grew up in Brooklyn. He came over when he was 18, and this is him. So I just love that. I thank you that you made it. You captured it all so perfectly. Did they tell you this story? And he had many stories that he would tell, and then ultimately, and then changed the ending because he was one of the kids that got wrapped up. So, did they tell you that story, or did you write a script for that, or how did that all come to be?
Yeah, these are their actual voices. So we just took them to a podcasting studio, and we didn't know what it was, and we just sat them down and asked them literally every question that we came to mind about the neighborhood, the games they used to play, how it's changed. And so this is it's a documentary essentially that we've then animated. So these are their voices, and they're amazing voices to us. So we wanted to make sure that we captured them. But yeah, this is them.
Okay, this was so delightful. Thank you for making this. I could watch that for hours. I have not seen an animation style quite like that before. Where did you receive the inspiration to do both the miniatures paired with, it looked like little green screens on the windows?
To Christina's point of leaning into our weaknesses, I had never animated before. And so I think I had to be pretty honest with myself about what I was going to be able to do. There was a moment where we were like, we're going to do stop motion. And then I realized that would take a decade of my life. And so that was out. I knew I could build models, and I knew that those would look good on camera. And then the animation that we did, these sort of paper cutouts, I've always loved Eric Carle, the Hungry Hungry Caterpillar. I think we also wanted to lean into something that had the sort of craftiness of like kids' artwork to sort of lean into the sort of nostalgia of their childhood. So I think it's both inspired by things like Eric Carle, but also, making sure that we're capitalizing on the things that we're able to do as much as possible. So yeah, I hope that answers that question.
In the back.
Good morning. As someone who makes documentaries, how do you decide what makes it into the film that really fits the emotional pacing and tone?
That's a great question. I mean, it's a really difficult process. I think for every film, every documentary that you see, there are hundreds of different iterations that could come out of the same footage. So, we wanted to tell something with an emotional arc. So, the story of the disappearance and the reemergence was our narrative spine. But I mean, when you write a documentary, you kind of have to think of it as a narrative. With these facts that I have, what facts can I pull out that will give me an emotional arc that will take somebody on a journey and hopefully an emotional one. And so I really think the best documentary writers or editors are people who have studied narrative writing too, or practice narrative writing, because it's a lot of the same skill sets. And I find it really fun to shape the truth into an arc that a human being will understand. And I think it's such a joy, and I love doing it. And these guys, the originals, made it very easy. They're great storytellers.
They absolutely are. I think there's another one back there.
Just wondering, as a couple working together and being in the pandemic together and things like that, what are some things that kept you sane, or how did you balance? Probably you didn't, but there's no balance, but.
There's not a single fight.
I mean,
I'm kidding.
we were just talking about this the other day. Somebody was like, do you guys turn it off? Is there an off switch? I think Cristina has one. I think I'm learning I have to implement one because I think I'm a little too on all the time when it comes to talking about projects that we should do and talking about ideas. I think especially during the pandemic, the model building of this was really a sort of therapeutic project, sort of like trimming a bonsai tree or something. And so I think it was for us a relief to have something to do and something to look forward to at a time when it felt like there was not a lot to look forward to. Working as a couple, your parents worked together, my parents worked together. I think it was just a sort of model that was presented to us as normal, which as we've sort of dived into it, have realized it's maybe not the most normal, but it's fun.
We ultimately love working together, and we love building worlds together. And if you're good at communicating with each other, I think it carries over into lots of parts of your life, into raising a baby together, into designing a house together, making a film together. It's not without its challenges, and like Alfie said, there is no kind of off switch sometimes, but we find it very rewarding and very fun. Penny's looking at pictures of us down here, which is, I think, why she's having so much fun. We love it, and we think that we're going to have a lot of collaborations. This is our first actual film collaboration, and we think we're going to do many more in the future.
We hope.
Awesome. Yeah, everyone say thanks. Thank you guys so much.
Thank you so much.
Thanks so much for having us.